Hello everybody, welcome back to Spruverse, my scale model universe, people on Earth. Welcome to part 2 of our Protei build-up. The two Proteus I'm working on are in 32 and 48 scale. One is from Crow's Nest, the late wonderful Drew Huffman, and the larger version, the 15-inch Moebius Proteus, is also on the bench. And for those of you who haven't checked out part 1, please go and do it. It'll make everything a lot clearer as to why we're doing what we're doing. For those of you who are back for part 2 and more punishment, welcome. And there's a lot to update you on. I've been doing a lot of soul searching behind the scenes, and I've come to some major conclusions, and I want to share all that with you before we proceed. And then there's an awful lot to get done, but we can't really, we will leap forward in this update, because now that we've made some very clear decisions, it'll be easy to move forward. Okay, decision number 1. Let's go to my 15-inch Proteus in all its splendor and glory. So let me just sort of run over there quickly. Okay, so here we are on the bench, and I wanted to have a conversation about the lab itself in the back and some conclusions I came to. If you remember in part 1, I was talking about cutting out the rear windows, these two elements here in the back, which were portholes. They were portholes windows. And I thought that would allow you to see into the lab, assuming it was lit. But then I started to think, I'm going to all this trouble to do all this highly detailing all of this, and you won't see it. And I thought that was really disappointing. But I know Lou came up with a solution, and that was to remove this rear portion here and put it on magnets so that you could lift it and see the whole back of the lab. That makes a lot of sense to me. I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. I'm going to follow in the footsteps of Lou's build, and I'm going to be removing that. Now, simultaneously, of course, that explanation is huge, because it allows me to start figuring out where my wiring is, how everything is going to seat together. So we are going to, in this episode, we're going to remove this. We're going to cleanly cut it, and that's going to take a little bit of time and some patience, but we're going to get a nice clean cut, and we will remove that. And then we'll start working on the interior portion of the lab now that we know we can highly detail it. So that's what I'm going to do there. Work will begin today on removing that section so that we can finally come to a conclusion that we'll feel good about all that highly detailed work we're going to do on that lab. And I think it's well worth it, and it's a really clean way to present this. I did have one other thought, and that was once I had removed that piece, that section of the rear of the sub, could I get a clear part vacuum formed that would replace it, and so it would just be a clear part. I thought about it, and I just think that to create a buck and go to all that trouble, I just think this is a cleaner way to go. It would allow me to permanently seal it up, and you wouldn't have to worry about completely lifting it off all the time. But hey. I may try that while I'm experimenting on some other things. I may do another one of these. I don't know. I've been asked to build this kit in the past on a commission, and I hem and haw. Commission builds they're a whole story unto themselves, and depending on where you live in the world, and shipping and parts that can break and a laundry list of things. So anyway, but I only say that because I do have another one, and I may play with it and see if I can up my game, but it won't be this year. I don't think it'll be this year. Okay, the other big news is going back to the Airlock. And there, as I had mentioned in part 1, a lot of talented modelers actually removed this part of the of the airlock here. They removed it and allowed you to see on the inside. Now, for me, at first I thought, no, that's just not worth it to me. However, now that I'm opening up the rear of this thing and you can see in from the front and the back, now it makes a lot of sense. So I'm going to actually detail out the inside of this. And I did get a chance to look at another dear friend's build up from many, many years back, Ken Spriggs. If you don't know Ken, go and check out and subscribe to his channel, please. He's a good man and he's very talented. And he talked about how he was going to detail the inside of this. And again, I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. I'm just going to sort of follow in the footsteps of some of these talented men. And I have cut here a piece of card that sits inside of here. I have now got to sort of cut out these holes, because these are obviously the way that they water, I guess, drained from the airlock. And then we're going to add some rivets, and I've got a little bit of I've got a little bit of well, it's a 0.9 millimeter styrene rod that I've got, and I'm going to use that to run down. I'll make some parts all the way around here. I'll glue those on, and they will make the panels. And the clever way that these rivets can be done. Now, you can either do it with a little bit of your dome forming resin, very easy to do. Just put little dots all the way down here, or you can use a punch like this, and you can punch the rear of it, and you can create your rivets that way. So we've got to now remove this piece, and when we remove this piece, we have another challenge, and that is we've got to try and recreate some of the frame on the inside, which we can do. We've got some styrene strip, some thin styrene strip, something like akin to this, and we'll glue this to the inside of the door, something like that, and that will add a depth and a thickness to this. And then, of course, we've got our photo etch guide rails, so that we can have this in the open position like this on the rails. It'll be slid open and you'll be able to see inside. It also allows me to get a little bit of light in here, which I can do from underneath. And that will add some dimensionality, and also I think it'll add some light source from another part of the back of the ship. So that should be pretty cool. Okay, I have started to assemble the two chairs, and here's them's is. This is the large one. It has not been glued down yet to its base, but the rest of it has been. I've still got some parts I've got to add, but she's looking quite nifty, and I'm very happy with that. And of course, here is the baby cousin, looking just as good and nice and clean. So we're really making some progress. We've just got a few more elements here we've got to add. And I don't know if I showed you last time, I can't remember, but I scratch built some lamps, and that's fun. So I've got some lamps for a couple of the tabletops. Okay, and of course, for the tabletops themselves, we're going to be using the JN Gray XF12, which is very green in color. So I'm liking that. Okay, so there you go. Lots going on in this build, but I think once we get that rear of the sub cut out, and once we get this all detailed and cleaned up, we will be off to the races. There'll be that will be quite a bit done and we'll show you all of that in this update, and then we'll cross over to the crow's nest version, and we'll get ourselves caught up. We'll do a little more of the interior cleanup and paint there, and get that ready for a coat of primer. Okay, so part one of the dissection of the rear part of the submarine, I think, went okay. Let's go to my other bench and take a look at that. Okay, forgive the voiceover here, but I lost my audio. I don't know why. So I've got all these wonderful hand gestures, but I'm pointing to the piece that I've cut, and I used my sonic saber. And I'm demonstrating here that the fin still fits as it should to the rear of the sub. And then when you pull it away, you can see all of the lab. And now I'm going to go ahead and lift the top off and just really show you all of the detail that is now not going to get lost. Continuing with work on the crow's nest version of the Proteus, in my kit, I had two versions of the chart box, the chart holder that came with the crow's nest kit. This one has a place for you to actually get in if you want to do a little lighting, and you add your cabinet doors. And this one is solid. We're going with this one since we're not doing any lighting to the crow's nest kit. Now, let me be clear, that takes nothing away from your ability to do it. There's plenty of opportunity. If that's the only version you have and you want to go full tilt, you should go full tilt because it's a lot of fun. So there are plenty of opportunities to detail out this kit if you want to go for it. And I suggest you do if it's the only one you have. But when Drew first came out with these kits, some of those technologies hadn't really exploded yet. Think about 3D printing and all of the other things, and then resin, 3D resin and PLA. I mean, he would have gone to town. I know he would have gone to town. But he provides us with two versions in case I think you're thinking about lighting it. So that's why we have these two versions as we see them. What I'm going to be doing is I'm actually just going to be taking this solid version here, but I am going to do just a little bit of work. I'm going to just drill out these chart holders just a little more so I can get some charts in there, because it's just not deep enough. So there's an opportunity for me to do that, and then I'm going to be hand painting this top where it needs to be in the darker green. I'm using the Vallejo 71126, which is an IAF green. It's a military green, so I feel that feels pretty good. And then I'll dry brush all those control surfaces, and we'll clean those up, and we'll make them look nifty. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to just clean this up and drill those out. And that way I can add just a little bit of paper in there. I'm going to make the effort to do that just to give it some dimension. Why not? You can see through the glass window, the front window, quite clearly. So we're going to do that. And then once we've done that, we're ready to start detailing out the other walls. Now remember, we're not going into the lab. So all we need are these three pieces for now. That's all we need. So this is rear wall and then your two side walls. And so that's what I'm going to be detailing out and cleaning up. So we're good to go there. So as soon as I'm going to drill these out, clean this up, and just detail it out a little bit to show you what it could look like finished. And then we'll be ready to look inside the tub, because I've started to put color down on the tub here, and I'm using the same color references on both, so I'm not changing colors, but I am going to just sort of try to get this a little further along now, because I've started to do some work on the large 15. Here it is next to its buddy, And you can see to the right of the crow's nest top is the interior of the tub for the 15, and it's all masked out because I've been putting down my royal grey blue on the walls. And then we've got some uber detailing of the walls that we'll have to do on 15, and we'll jump back to those in just a second. But now you can see this is ready to get its grey on the walls there, and then we can install this desk once we've put down the door grate for the nuclear, where the nuclear fuel cell lives, and we'll be ready to put that down. And this will be a little further along, but we'll then start thinking about what we're going to do to sand this, clean this up, and start working on the outside, because we're going to have to start moving along. Okay, so let me just get the chart table a little more cleaned up and painted up, and I'll show you what that looks like. And then we'll go ahead and do the same. We'll detail out the back walls. And that will allow us to jump back to the 15 and start talking about final lighting, because we've got to start doing a little bit of modification to the pilot's, where the pilot sits, the dome, in order to get our 8050 SMD strip around the top of that. But we are jumping along, and that's a good thing. So I'm making progress. Here's the map table, the chart table I should say, and I'm starting to get color on it and detail it out. I've drilled out the holes for the maps and the charts I should say, and I'll stick those in. So that is coming together, and what I'm doing is I'm using AK interactive markers. I found I've been interested in them for a long time, and here in the States it was really difficult to find a set that was complete. You know, you have to buy them in 2s and 3s, or sometimes just one, and that's okay. But if you have a complete set, then you can really sit it down in front of you like a palette and play with it, and that's what I've been doing with the smaller crow's nest Proteus. Is I've been using AK interactive markers. They come in a complete set, and each marker looks like this, and they're all numbered. This one happens to be Cockpit green, so it's got the Union Jack on it, but they come in a complete set, and they're actually really easy to use. I'm noticing that some of the elements that I forgot to create, I'm going to create right now. One of them is I don't have this piece for the crow's nest version, this piece right here. I think it just inadvertently got left out, or you're supposed to create your own. I don't know, but either way, I don't have it. So I also have noticed that on the crow's nest version, you get some brass rod to create these joystick handles for controlling the direction of the sub. On the Moebius Proteus, you get them as a set. Now this doesn't, obviously I haven't sat this down yet, but it will sit down like that, and so I've got to recreate that element for the smaller version, and that's what I'm doing right now, because you get the joysticks. Here's a joystick right there. You get joysticks. It doesn't look like much now, but I promise you it will make a lot of sense once I get them glued to the little pieces of brass rod that I've created to essentially mimic the same thing as that chair. On that chair. And it's important that you get the details right because you can't see all of that through the dome. So we're gonna make the effort to do this right. So I'm gonna glue these together. Hopefully they will dry. I can then paint them up, and then we can attach those. And I will also fashion a circle that we will attach to the back of this. Very easy to glue. I do have the control panel for it, and here it is. So I'm gonna clean that up. I'm gonna clean these up, glue these up, and make that, and that'll be the final that I'll need for the chair, and then I can go back and start working. I started to put in some color on the walls, the aluminum's in or the metal's in. I've just got to put my dial decals in and dry brush these. But I've got all of those working right here. Thumbs is. So I've got all of those working. And those are the only walls I need. Okay, so progress on the crow's nest Proteus. Where we are now is the basic sort of core of the cockpit. I call it a cockpit. The subs sort of inner workings are together. It's an island really. It was a very clever design, so that you could walk all the way around it, and then you would have this parapet here. So the design is it designs nicely. Now nothing is glued down. It's all kind of perched here very, very delicately, but just for the purposes of this conversation, I just wanted you to see what I was doing. And so everything is in. You know, we're not dealing with the lab. We're only dealing with what we can see through these front windows. And there's quite a lot to see. So what I want to do now is just carefully just drop this over here and hope that I don't create more trouble for myself than is worth. And you can see it sits in there quite nicely. And so with the chair up where it needs to be, and as we look through this window, now I'm going to very carefully tip this up, just very carefully, and you can start to see, and I'll get a flashlight. Let me see if I can get a flashlight here and stick that in like this. It's actually a great source light, and you can start to see a very sort of dramatic stage that's appearing here. We're making progress. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to continue just to make sure I've got everything that needs to go on the walls primed and painted up, right? So we've got some oxygen tanks I need to pick up. We've got our thrusters we need to work on. We've got some more these front-facing girders right here. These need to be painted the royal light blue-gray that I'm using. So that all needs to be done, and they need to be attached. So you know, and they're fiddly little parts because they need to be cleaned up, but they're going to be fine. I've also I scratch built my little circle. I couldn't find it in the kit. I don't know if it just didn't make it in or I lost it. Doesn't matter. Very easy to scratch build, and here that is. And I've already started to put a little bit of color on it, and I'll continue to work on that. And that just needs to be dropped down in front of the chair here. It is to scale. I've checked it. I've got a couple of seats here that need to sit in front. There's also some photo etch for the it's for the grate that covers the nuclear fuel cell in the very front of the ship. That needs to drop down. That's a lovely piece of photo etch you get with this kit. Boy, did he you know, Drew really went to town on this. He really thought it through, and he did a tremendous job. For this scale, that is not easy, I promise you. And for an independent sort of garage kit maker, he was one of the best. He really was. Okay, so because I'm pretty caught up here. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get a coat of white primer on the outside of this, give it a nice sanding, and get a coat of white primer on this. And I've got a little bit of cleanup to do on the umbilical, and I've got to build my hatches. So that's all together, but it comes together quite beautifully. It's quite a nice kit. And it's a lovely scale, and it's going to go great on the miniaturization platform base. That is an option that is available to you, and we're going to be drilling down on every aspect of that, because it's really going to make this kit shine. It really is. Now, I also know that there is on GameBody, I found there are some 3D files for a sub. And so if you have the ability to pick those up and you have a printer, you can get this scale, which means that you are not prohibited from getting the miniaturization platform base that I'm going to be sharing with you, which means you can also get Ralph's Tenor Controls board for it, and you'll be all set. There are a couple of things that would need to be sourced and figured out, but some of you out there who are really dialed in will not be fazed by it at all. For those of you who are just new to the hobby, I would say give yourself a little bit of time before you go after it. It doesn't mean you can't buy those files for the miniaturization base, by the way, and print that up, because even on its own, it's a great piece of memorabilia if you are a Fantastic Voyage fan. Okay, quick jump in here. I am back on the 15 tub, and I realized that I should memorialize what I'm doing here. I put a base coat down of my green, and I had a little bit of lift, but that's okay, because I was planning to do a second coat anyway. But what I was doing was, what I wanted to show you was, I was stippling. Rather than just airbrushing this down, I was stippling it. And the reason why I'm doing that is to create some texture. And that'll obviously fix my issues where I had a little bit of lift. But it does a couple of things too. It just, it adds a little bit of depth to the floor. And it would have been a textured floor anyway. It wouldn't have been a small... In my opinion, you know, it should have been in. Now, I've been in a couple of submersibles myself, and with Woods Hole many years ago, and all the floors were stippled. They weren't flat floors; they were stippled because they could potentially get wet, and it's sort of a pseudo non-stick surface. So that's what I'm doing. So I knew that if I had any issues at all, it wasn't going to be an issue, because as this dries, you get a little bit of texture, and that's a good thing. But anyway, I just wanted to share with you a technique that I had learned as I've sort of trying to build on my painting skills. This is one of those clever techniques that also adds depth to our models. It's worth giving it a try. If you are using the Paragraphics Photo Etch Kit, there is a... now, I've cut the templates out, which is why this looks like the dog ate it, but never mind. The point is that there is a sidewall modification that you can do. And it says that the kit supplied wall extensions and shelf are not accurate to the set's interior. On the set, there's no shelf. These templates allow you to create a more accurate set for the interior walls. Now, I think that's a good thing. So you get the templates, you cut the templates out, and you want two things. You want some sheet styrene that's between 0.040 and 0.8080, and this is an 060, so it's perfect. And it just wants some square styrene stock that you can use as a runner, really, for the detail on the wall. But what you end up with is this. You get these pieces. Now, I've already painted these the right color of my set. This is not glued down yet. But the point is that when you lay this over, and let me get my fat fingers out of the way. When you lay this over it like this on the angle, you get this correct there. You get the correct angle, and then the small square piece of sprue runs along where that gap, that light seam is, and that finishes it off nicely. And I think that's a very, very nice add, especially when you consider how much of the ship now we're really going to be able to see. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to prepare the channel. I'm going to create I've got to drill a hole in the back here so that I can get my wire out for my my little my box here. Here's them's is. And that has been lit, and I've lit it with a yellow, and so it comes off. It has that orange glow. For those of you who would be upset at the green, didn't want to offend anybody, so that's what I've done. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just essentially there's a shelf that sits here. And this sits on that shelf, and I'm going to run this through the back here. Let me remove these for just a second and show you where there's a channel. There's an opportunity here to run it under here, this channel here, and then run it along the side, or actually even run it along the top here, because we've got these standoffs, and that'll allow me to get my wire out from here. So that's most likely what I'll do, because there's no reason not to. And that will take care of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get that all drilled out and ready to go. I'm going to get my nuclear fusion, or my nuclear fuel cell grate or lid. I'm going to just get that painted off. And there's a couple of feet here in there's a couple of feet here for the pedestals of the side chairs, the side stools. Here's them's is, and they just go in like thatage, but their bases need to be silver. So I'm going to be I'm just going to clean that up and get that all painted and detailed up, and then once that's all done, I can start actually working on installing stuff into the tub, because I need to sort of get this installed before. Well, I'm going to get. That's not true. Let me take that back. I'm going to get a coat of primer on the exterior of the ship. I've been working on the smaller version. There it is. That's got a coat of just matte white primer on it. It needs to be sanded, and it'll get several coats, but it's going down. And there's its big brother waiting patiently to get its first coat of primer in the white. So once all that happens, you're sort of at a point where you've got to get everything to where it's ready to get closed up, because you don't want to be, once you've started to put your details in, you don't want to be doing you don't want to be doing that. Now everything should be permanently glued down, of course, but hey, all's fair in love and miniature building. Okay, so we're doing well. I'm pretty excited about where we are. I feel like we are getting there. We can also start to install some of the lab elements as well, because once that wall once this rear wall gets in, well, you can't see what I'm talking about, can you? Once this rear wall gets in here, then I can go ahead and work on the light for, where the light's going to be for my lab. Now, I think, if you can imagine, if this is the side that is sort of permanently covered, and this bit, as we know, is cut away, then there's an opportunity there to get the source light much more centered and more sourcey. I think that's a good thing. For the drama of the kit, for the drama of the model, I don't need an overall sort of overly lit set. Okay, so progress. And I'm dangerously close to be able to start actually doing final touch-ups on these walls before I start to put other things on. And there's my fire extinguisher, so that will be ready to go on that side wall, which is its permanent location. So I'm sort of drilling down on some of those details. Okay, so let me start working on the tub and seeing what I can start to permanently get installed. Okay, things are drying, things are prepping, things are priming. I've been drilling, scraping, sanding. And it's all coming together. I'm not whining. I'm just trying to figure out the best way to present this and not have you spend literally your entire life watching me drill or sand something. Okay, I think we're at an important point now. I'm back on the 15. Now, I apologize if you're confused about me jumping backwards and forwards. I did warn you in part 1 I was going to be doing that. But the good news is only the Moebius 15-inch model is being lit. The other one is just a static model. I'm going to talk about lighting for a little moment here, and I just want to stress something to you that's kind of important. If you're not one of those people who is into lighting, but you want to light a kit once in a while, a lighting kit is a good way for you to go. Now, I do know that Randy Newbert over at Voodoo Effects has a nice little kit. And most likely there's one over at Tenor Controls as well. I'm going to put a complete shopping list of paint and things. It's all going to be in the description, but I'm going to do it in the finale episode. I'm not doing it because the problem is nobody reads it. Nobody reads it. I just get emails going, what was that paint you used? So you all guys know who you are. You don't read descriptions, but that's okay. Everybody's welcome. But I will be doing a shopping list for you at the conclusion of this build. But for those of you who have a penchant for doing this yourself, it's not a difficult model to go after. So you need your 8050 strip SMD, and here's them's is. And what you do is you get yourself a piece that's long enough to wrap all the way around. You're then going to want to drill a hole, like I've done, and feed your SMD strip through, because it is the cleanest way to get this to seat nicely. If you try to ultimately pull everything around, you'll get a double wrap and it won't look nice. It won't look clean. But this looks clean, like that. And that's all I did, was I just drilled this hole through. There's the hole. And I just wrapped my SMD, my 805, around it. Now, obviously, this has got to get attached, but because it's going to be sealed under this dome, if you're using the supplied dome, like thisage, you won't have to seal anything. You won't have to glue this. It's not going anywhere. And there's actually a photo etch that's going to drop on top of that. If you want to use the Randy Cooper option, which is this milk piece of plastic, it's not plastic, it's resin. He's poured it for you. If you want to use this one, you certainly can, but it's designed to go with his bubble top. So that's going to require a little more skill, because you're going to have to make sure that that bubble top is cut perfectly. If you use the piece that is supplied with the kit, I would highly recommend getting yourself some plastic cleaner and get this as clean as you possibly can, because once it's sealed, if there's any schmutz on it, you're not going to be happy. I will tell you that even though I've protected this, and I just literally just took it out of the box, it's not that great. It's going to be fine, but it's not that great if you want to use it. Okay, so that is what I am doing, and I just wanted to show you how that works. So what I have to do now is I've got to get this this piece painted up white, and I've got to get the top of this dome, the top of this painted as well, so that I can permanently put together the top of this. Now, there is some photo etch, and I have painted that photo etch white. This has a little bit of an overlap too. But again, this is going to be sealed inside, and it's going to go in front of your SMD strip. Because in the film, when you look at it in the film, it's always got an orange glow to it around the aura, you know, when you're inside the body. And it's impossible to tell, but you can tell that it's not on the outside, it's on the inside of the dome. So I'm assuming it's structural. So we'll get that going as well, and then I'll show you what that looks like when I've put that all together and finished it. So what we have on the bench right now is the 15. Here's the 15 inch, and it's got it had a coat of the gray on it just to make sure that I didn't have any big issues, and I don't. So it got a light sanding, and now it's had a coat of the white primer down here, and I must say I'm very pleased with it. I'm sort of looking at it, and I've got no real huge issues in terms of fit. But what you do have to do, which I hadn't done, is flip it over and realize that you've got this lip here that is going to be where you need to get a coat of paint, obviously. So I'm going to do that and just make sure that everything has got a coat of paint on it, and we should be good to go there. But for the most part, it's looking really good. Now, if you remove the top, my tub is basically ready to go. So that means that I can actually start thinking about some installs on that, because I do have to run some wires and start doing some basic installation at some point. I've got a little bit of detail work to do here at the end. This is where the laser gun lives, and where Raquel Welsh and Michael Boyd have their conversation, and he almost gets his hand blown off. So I just got to clean this up, detail this out. So I'm going to do that right now. Okay, so I'm going to remove my tub so I don't get any overspray on it. I'm going to put the two halves back together and sit them nicely, and I'm going to make sure I get a good coat of paint on those edges, and then we'll be ready to give this a really nice sanding, with an 800, and get it ready for its final, which is going to be the Duplicolor Arctic White. Try saying that fast 3 times. But that's what the final color is going to be. Anyway, I'm just going to get a little more primer on this. Make sure that everything is good and primed. And I'm very comfortable that this is going to go together really nicely, and I don't have any issues with my seams. So I'm very happy. This is going to we're going to get a really nice result from this, and it's a nice kit. And here we have a lighting test of the dome light installed. Nothing is attached or glued down except that the 8050 SMD strip is permanently installed. The photo etch does not need to be glued in any way, shape or form. It is held inside very nicely by this underneath piece. You can see the result is absolutely stunning. It's really beautiful, and I could not be happier with that. Now, what I've done also, and I'm going to do just a little more, is I have scuffed up this plastic here to create a little diffusion, and it does a beautiful job at really diffusing that light. So I'm really happy with that, and I did put a little bit of black underneath just for a light block, but now I'm going to go ahead and paint that white so that everything is white, and then we can permanently put that to bed. And the nice thing about that is that that will be ready to install. Now, one of the things that I wanted to talk about was this reality that the hard wire of the dome lights, and of course the light for illuminating the actual interior of the sub itself forward of the lab, those lights are in the ceiling. So we then have to permanently install the top of the sub in order to get that in. Now those lights, they're going to be hidden because I'm going to install those now, and then I'll go ahead and do the finished interior lighting paint scheme so that those wires disappear. But now comes the fun part, because unless I do a tether, and I certainly could do a little plug that you plug in, I'm going to think about that so that I can plug it in and then drop it down, but I still have to permanently shut it up, which means that I've got to move on to this, which is the exterior piece of the windshield. Or I should say, correction, it's the interior exterior piece. So this is going to actually sandwich between the your clear glass and the front of the ship. Which is getting another coat of paint right now. Yeah, so this is gonna sit on the inside, and I've got the Aztec dummy gaskets that will need to go on as well. So I'm getting to a point now where I'm literally going to have to start doing some finishes. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start permanently installing the interior of the sub. And see where we are. Well, top of the morning to you. It's a new day here at Spruverse, and we're getting dangerously close to assembling the walls and the sub itself, because I need to make some wiring decisions about where things are going. And as I'm sitting here playing with this, I thought to myself, why don't I turn the cameras on and share it with all of you good folks? And that's And so that's where we are. Okay, here's what I'm thinking. So what I've done is I've just, nothing's glued down, obviously. Excuse the finger, it's got glue on it. There you go. I have fashioned myself an access point for the airlock chamber. I just printed that. So that can now sit in the bottom, because if I tip this to camera and I put a little light on the subject, like there, you can see it. And you'll be able to see it just a little bit through this open door here because of my cutaway. You will be able to see it, or see a piece of it. Now, a part of me thought, well, maybe I'll just put a light in the chamber and that will really allow you to see it. But then I've got to get a light above somewhere to illuminate the back here. And my first try was a dismal failure, because I had it in front of the top airlock, and that's a mistake, because that access point, which is how they come into the ship, is underneath the floor plate for the pilot's seat. I didn't think about it. I did it at night. Don't work at night when you're tired. Dumb. So I got to clean this up, which is good, because once I get my lights in, I'm going to give the top of the ceiling a coat of the royal grey blue, which will mimic everything that I've done on the walls. So now I know I've got a little handle there, a wheel, a little airlock, a wheel of some kind, and I've got my partition door here, and my partition door is there. So there is a light. There's a light that is supposed to go here, but it's in the form of a barrel. But I'm going to replace it, I think, with another light. But the light that I was going to replace it with, I think now is too big. It was a 5 mil. Here it is, and I just think it's blasting. So it's problematic. So what I'm thinking I would like to do. Oh, and if you look here, you've got that infamous can in the back that is supposed to be a light, but it isn't a light. It's something else. It has something else to do with the, in my opinion, with either with the lab itself, or it's supposed to be a piece of equipment that filters air. I don't know what it does, but it's not a light. There's no source light here, because actually, if we zoom out, you'll see that there is a stage light there in front of the side communications seat. I believe that all the lighting, the actual source lighting, they didn't put any in the sub. I believe that it all came, it was all lit exterior. But hey, I could be wrong, and that's perfectly fine. One of the things I've done is I've got a light in my front radar screen, or front location screen, human location screen, whatever you want to call it. The box that sits in front of the two seats in front of the chart table. But as I mentioned, I put a 5 mil top hat, these sort of half bulbs, under the shelf. You don't see it at all, but it's become a source, a great light source. So if you can see that now he's white, he's all white at the moment, but he's completely in shadow. He's being lit by that shelf. And what I like about that is it's a completely it's sort of a source light. You don't know where it's coming from, but I think that combined with the light at the top of the door, which is definitely going to be 3 mil now, and we're good to go. So all I need to do now is just get that focused correctly, get the light up on the front side, the front-facing portion of the rear wall to the cockpit, and the same 3mm I'm going to put on the reverse, and that's going to illuminate the lab, and that will take care of it. And it's all going to go under. Obviously, it all goes under this tub, and so I think that is a result. Let me just turn this to camera so you can see what I'm talking about here. What we've got here is, and I'm deliberately doing this now. I'm going to clean up its location, but I'm very happy with this. So we've got our light to our front forward screen here, and then I've got, as you can see underneath, I've put this little source light, and so I'm going to just make sure that that gets focused, but that'll give us a nice amount of light in the front of the cockpit. So I'm very happy with that. I think that's a result. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then once I've got the chart table locked down, I'm going to start adding some of my own cableage, because I think some detail will be worth it, and then we can permanently put the charts in and take a look at that area, because it's a nice detail and you can see all of it through the front screen. So that's where your money shot is for me. Okay, so just wanted to memorialize what we're doing, and I'll get this all sorted, and we're going to start actually doing some assembly work on this. Okay, I'm trying to get everything installed into the tub of the Moebius 15-inch, meaning the sub interior. And I'm working on the communications center now, where Michael Boyd sits in the movie and taps out his Morse code. He sits just below the pilot. And the piece that comes with the kit is kind of sad. The photo etch helps tremendously, but to add just a little bit of extra detail, what I'm doing here is I'm just adding some wires. So I've drilled 3 holes in the back here. And I'm adding just a little bit of super glue to the tip here of the wire. Not too much. If you get too much, you just dab it a little bit with a Q-tip. And then I'm just inserting it in these holes here that I've made. And it pushes it all the way in, and just let it set. And that is I think that's a very nice detail. And that's going to look like that. Okay? What I'm doing now is I'm installing the walls that are recommended for this kit in the paragraphics kit. There's a call out for these side panels here, because the parts that come with the actual kit are not correct. It's not accurate to the film. There was never a shelf in the sub. The walls just sort of went on an angle and down. And so that's what we've done here. I've installed this side using the templates. I'll show you. That's how it is supposed to be finished. I've got a little bit of touch up to do just in the corner there, where I'm doing a little bit of light blocking. But now it's time to actually install the other side. And you simply use the angle that's associated with the ship. So given that new angle, which I really like because it adds a certain level of sort of closure and intimacy to the scene, it then begs the question of what to do with your ladder. Because if you see where the holes are, where it wants you to actually put it, you can't actually, it won't actually go lean against the wall. So I think the best thing to do is to just, I'm going to paint it and I'm just going to lay it down. So it'll be on the side of the wall, but it'll be on the floor. I don't know what else to do with it, but I would like it in the scene. It makes sense to have it in the scene. So that's what we'll do out when you're doing all your detail work, but it's coming together really well. So I'm going to go ahead and install this side, And I've got a little bit of armchair rail that they want you to cut that goes along with it. And I'm going to put that on as well. And then once that wall is installed, we're dangerously close to having something that looks relatively recognizable. Okay, so the interior of the 15-inch Moebius version is pretty much complete with a lot of my details, which I'm pretty excited about. So we've put in charts into the chart box that has been opened up, of course, thanks to the Paragraphics kit. We've added a lovely detail here, which I'm really proud of, which is the light box is going to light up. There's a light in the forward radar box, and I've put a source light under this countertop here. There is a light here at the back that will hopefully give a nice source to the back of this, given the fact that obviously the pilot is going to sit here, but I think we'll get a lot of source from it. We've put in our new revised walls thanks to Paragraphics. They gave us those wonderful panel plans to copy and cut out, so we did that. We've added all the photo etch to the ladders, and we went ahead, and I'm going to tip it so hopefully you can see it. We opened up our airlock, and we added a airlock door, I should say. I don't know what the nomenclature is. It's the hatch, the airlock hatch, and it's at the bottom there. And I'll illuminate it so you can see. There it is. The hatch is in the bottom there, and I think that looks pretty cool. I think that's a nice touch. And of course, in the lab, we've added photo etch to the sink, and we added a source light here. And I went ahead and I just painted over the wires, which you would see in a submarine. But all the details are in, and I am very happy with that. So I think that's where we're going to end it for this week. Next week is going to be a huge episode because we will finish this build completely. We will be able to put both Proteus side by side, which I'm really excited about. The great Drew Huffman, bless him, his kit, and of course the Moebius kit. And we will be featuring a very exciting part of the build, which is the miniaturization base, which is available to you in a 3D file. And I'll tell you how to get a hold of that, and we'll talk about some of the other elements. And of course, for the 15-inch, I'm using the Randy Cooper base. You can reach out to Randy. His website, I'll give you links to that as well. And if you want a 15-inch base from him, it's a solid base, but he will, I believe, pour it in a clear resin for you if you want to light it, which I think I'm going to do. So very exciting. And don't forget, this miniaturization base is going to include a Ralph Tenaglia special edition light board and sound that we're going to be installing into the miniaturization base. Very exciting. And also, we're going to be doing a little tribute to Drew. I've got a couple of great pictures from his dear wife and a bio that I'll share with you because I think it's very important. So please stick around for that. And let's celebrate life, but also celebrate Drew as well as part of the dedication of this. And of course, a big shout out to John Eves. His artwork, don't forget, his artwork is on the front of the Moebius 15-inch box, and it's an awesome thing. So I'm thrilled about that. So, hey, if you want to get a hold of me, I'm spruverse@gmail.com. I post most days on my Instagram account, which is @spruverse. You can buy me a cup of coffee. The link to that is on the front of my channel page. It's for my charity builds or just to say thank you. But hey, as always, I wish all of you, please, be safe, be well, build something, and I'll see you next time. Take care, everybody. Be well.